So I'm Farren Morgan. I'm ex-British soldier. I finished my last day in the army this week, actually. So now I'm a veteran. I've had a great career in the army. I've been a Queen's Guard, a King's Guard, a paratrooper, and a physical training instructor for the Coldstream Guards, which is the oldest regiment in the British Army. So I've had a great career. Mainly, my career is mainly revolved around fitness. So I've helped a lot of soldiers get fit. That's what I've loved about my role. I'm also a land sergeant, so the equivalent to that is a corporal, so a section commander. So I'd have like a section of men, around 7 to 8 men, and they'd follow me everywhere. That's kind of what I've been doing for the past 9 years. Since my time in the army, I've also set up my own business called The Tactical Athlete, and that helps people join the army, join the police, and that's not just in the UK, that's also all over the world. So I help them pass entrance tests all over the world and demanding courses, which has been kind of why I've left the army, to have more time helping people do those things, because as you're well aware, running a business and being in the military, they're both very time consuming, as well as having a family. I had a little boy 2 years ago, so I've got a little boy and I had 2 jobs. So I decided to go with my passion, which is helping people get into uniform services. It's not just the army and the police, it's the fire service, and it's kind of like the Navy, Marines, anything like that.
That's awesome. So is your coaching then kind of like a mixture of the physical aspect and also some tactical stuff as well?
No, so I only coach like the mental side of it, and the physical side. So the majority of it is physical. I'll just make sure that we have got those tests nailed down so that when they go and do them, hopefully they're the best, and not just scraping through.
Okay, well let's deviate from our notes I just mentioned, and I want to talk about the mental fortitude side of doing hard things, because obviously you have a lot of experience doing that in the military and then coaching people as well. So like, how do you even train your mind for such a large undertaking? Because like for me personally, I've never been in the military, and I have family members that have, but like I can't even fathom, like, I don't know, suffering so much with keeping your head on your shoulders and not just kind of losing your mind. Like, how do you train your brain for something difficult?
I think for me, I think you've got to have that vision. I think once you've got a vision in your brain, you know where you want to be, you know where you are now, you can kind of get your head in that space. And I think for me, whenever I've been in a difficult place, whether that be in a race, whether that be in the military, I always think about kind of where I want to be. I know that if I don't kind of put myself and go through the hardship, I'm never actually going to get to where I want to be. And I think that's the same with repetition, like mental repetition, physical repetition. You just got to keep completing the task at hand. 1 more minute, 10 more minutes, 1 more hour. And then before you know it, you've either reached the finish line or you've reached your goal, hopefully in one piece. That's kind of the way that I break it down, just minute by minute, hour by hour.
Yeah, I think it's a really good strategy for long things, because I don't have any data to back it up, but I don't think your brain can really fathom doing these things that are maybe a little esoteric or maybe just out there. Like maybe like it's 2 years away a goal or something. But if you break it down into little segments, you can easily digest it and keep moving forward towards that goal, right?
Which is exactly what I do on the programming for the guys, because some of them have never even kind of lifted a bit of weight. They've never kind of been in the gym. They've never been in that environment where they've got to train 5 days a week at an hour a time. So we get those 6 months, like you say, or a year or 2 years down the line when they want to hit that goal. It's a long way to look forward. So you have to break it down into little manageable goals for those sort of people, or everyone. You know, it's nice to hit little mini goals along the way to your main goal, but also making sure that you're staying kind of focused as well. Because if you're looking 2 years ahead, you're like, I've got plenty of time. But as you well know, if you race, they come up and bite you, and they come up quick. So you need to make sure that you stay focused and stay on task.
Definitely, I would 100% agree with that. So being based here in the US, I learned about you from Colin and Tess, and I know we've exchanged a few emails and stuff. But it seems like you're into rucking. Is that a correct assessment here?
Yeah, so we call it rucking over the world, but we also call it in the British Army, we call it tabbing. So it's called a tactical advance to battle. That's what we call it in the British Army. Rucking is kind of something that's a term that's well known across the world. But yeah, I do love carrying weight. It's probably one of my favourite things to do. I love putting a backpack on. For those people that aren't aware of what rucking is, It's something that you do. Anybody can do it. You can just put a pack on it, put a pack on your back, like a day sack or a bag, put some weight in it, and then walk. That's it. And the great thing about that is it's a great full body workout. You can do it at any age, and kind of you can increase the intensity either by speed or by adding weight. So you can, the harder you want to train, you can either get faster or add weight. So you can, there's numerous ways of obviously making that more challenging for yourself, which is why I like it. And like you said there, like I say, with the G2G, it's, you're carrying your kit throughout. So I think that's going to be like a great thing for me because I love carrying weight. But also kind of when you do carry that weight, and I get this problem a lot with people is they don't pack a kit correctly. And that's going to be another big thing for people that have never carried weight before is weight distribution and carrying that kit correctly. Where is the weight? Is it in the bottom? Is it to one side? Are you going to be running lopsided for 50 miles at a time? Or even if you carried one water bottle on your hydration vest, you can massively see a difference, let alone if you've got 10, 20, 30 kilos in your pack.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting how like packing your bag can impact your day so much. Like if you pack it in properly, like you're saying, like maybe like 100 grams on this side of the pack more could after 100, 200 miles could definitely affect like how your body feels and maybe even lead to an injury or even just massive discomfort while you're out there.
Yeah, because your body's going to be overcompensating in a different way. So you could be, I don't know, if you're leaning to the left, that's it, you're going to get a problem with your left side of your body or even your right side of your body, sorry. So you could get a niggle anywhere. And that's the last thing you want when you're doing long distance. And you've got to do it repeatedly. So it's not just like, okay, I've just got to get to the end of this one run. You've got to do it on multiple days.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to wake up with some pain in your right hip or something.
No, you want to wake up fresh, at least for the first couple, and then you can kind of just, like you said there, with the mental training, you need to get up and be like, well, I've done a day, or I've done an hour, or I've done 2 days. I've only got 4 days to go, and kind of then just break it down hour by hour. Try and hit the checkpoints. Try and hit each little 100-meter marker. You know, there's going to be certain things. Aim for the nighttime so you can see that beautiful sky at night, or aim for the day so you can see the sunrise. There's always going to be these little things in your mind that you need to kind of say to yourself, what do I want to see next?
Yeah, definitely. Like recently I did a multiple day FKT where I rode and ran quite a bit. And it was fun to break it down like just by days. Like, okay, like in this many hours is sunset. And then it's nighttime and it's almost like a whole new environment. And then you start looking to the sunrise. It's like, okay, 2 hours from now is sunrise. And then the sun comes up and it's like, oh, it's a brand new day. It's just a good mental shift for your brain, I think.
Yeah, and then the heat hits and you're like, I want it to be nighttime again. But then when it's nighttime, it's cold and you want it to be day again. That's like a cycle. That's the cycle, isn't it? And that's what you enjoy about it. And from what I've read about G2G and from what I've kind of researched and spoke to people, because I spoke to people on the Facebook group that's specifically for the race, and the community, from what I've seen, is phenomenal. I mean, people, so I've got no experience in running this sort of distance. I've done multiple marathons before, but I've never gone probably the 30-mile mark. 30 miles is probably the most I've gone. And I'm going to be doing that on multiple days. So I can do a marathon probably without any kind of, just with a little water bottle and maybe a couple of gels. I can probably just go and do that and then be about my day the next day. But when you know you've got to kind of pack your sleeping system, you've got to pack your food for every day. You've got to basically get everything bang on kind of, and your nutrition's got to be spot on, because for one day, if you get that gut rot, I don't know if you've ever had it before, but if you're having too many gels, you get a bit poorly in the stomach. You can probably get through that for one day, but I know I keep going on about it, but for those multiple days, it's going to be difficult. So having the people there that have done it before and learning from their mistakes is kind of invaluable. And from what I hear, like there's a lot of people that do struggle on the race. Hopefully it's not me. Hopefully I train well and I'm strong and one of the top front runners. But I know there'll be hard points, and from what I hear, that everyone helps each other out, especially when you cross that line and you help each other with your bags, and kind of maybe you need a bit of help repacking or getting some food out initially because you're so kind of drawn out from the day. Then there are all people there to help you. And from what I hear as well, the people are great. You have your campfires and kind of you have your own little kind of crew in your room, because I know that when each stage you do get a point to have a rest at the end of the day if you make it. And then kind of reset, realign, and then re-engage for the next morning.
Yeah, the community aspect is, I think, one of the coolest parts of the event. Like last week, we did a podcast with Gary McKee. He's from the UK as well. And we spoke a lot about that and just how cool it is that you get to basically meet like strangers and you spend a week with them and you become friends because you do something hard with them and you all suffer a little bit together. And then it's like as the days roll on, you become closer and closer to these people and everyone helps each other. And it's really cool to see the evolution, I guess, of that over the course of the week.
I'll be honest with you, that a lot of what I just said there is kind of what I learned on that podcast with Gary. Some of the stuff he said, where he said kind of when you get over the finish line, everyone's there to support you, if you need it or not. Some need it more than others, which is going to be understandable. But people are there for each other, and I think that's really nice because, like he said there, he kind of had another family outside of his own family because, like you say, I've got a family. I'll be leaving in the UK, and it's quite a distance away. So for having that week away, because you've got to come and have a bit of acclimatization, and there may be a little period after where you need to try and sort your administration out, kind of maybe like a 10-day kind of period where you won't see your family. So it's nice to have that kind of that warm arm around the shoulder sometimes when you need a bit of support.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's jump back a little bit before we start talking about community and family. You were kind of talking about, well, one, we were talking about rucking and carrying weight, and it made me think about how like Grand to Grand is so different than just a pure running race, because you can do a stage race where maybe you can just carry 2 handheld bottles and you have all your stuff for you at the finish line every day. But Grand to Grand is a lot different where you're, for the most part, most people are doing it self-supported, so they're carrying all their gear with them along the way. So it's not just a running race or just carrying stuff. It's a combination of both. So I guess, why is that interesting to you to be able to carry this weight through the desert while running?
So this is the biggest thing that really intrigued me and made me want to do the race. It was the carrying the kit, and it was also kind of, can I administrate myself properly throughout this race? Because it is down to you on the way that mainly the comfort of the race. So this is what jumped out at me. Firstly, me leaving the military kind of worked perfect for me. Me leaving basically this week, it's given me plenty of time to train. Firstly, for it, I'll have a lot of time because you've got to put a lot of hours on your legs. So I thought this is a perfect time for me to take on this challenge. So that was like one of the first things there is like kind of, and with my extensive kind of military background of carrying kit and programming people to carry kit, kind of, I want to put myself to the test here and really kind of see how well I can do or how well I think I can do, because I think I'm a good athlete, you know. But I kind of like, I've never really trained for something for so long. My things that I train for, like I can train for a marathon, I don't know, from zero in probably, I don't know, 2 to 3 months and get an okay time, you know. But this is going to take, to do decent and basically have a good time on it, it's probably going to take you around a year of good, solid training to get there. So that was a big plus for me. It's just kind of like using my experience of carrying the weight and kind of and getting amongst it on G2G, because it's a very technical race in the fact that you've got to make sure that you carry the correct nutrition. You've got to make sure you pack your bag correctly. Because if you don't have enough food, then what you're going to do, like kind of, I think there's a minimum calorie goal of, is it 2,800 calories?
I believe so. Not off the top of my head, I can't tell you, but
I know that it's not a lot of calories considering you could be running for I don't know, 30 to 50 hours. 30 to 50 miles. So yeah, it's kind of really intrigued me, the thought of, can I actually do this? Because like you say, I've run multiple marathons, but as you well know, they're only like 26 odd miles. So this is going to be a big challenge for me personally as well, to see if I can do well at it, not just complete it. I have every faith in myself to actually complete it, but I actually want to go and complete it in a good time.
Definitely. So have you thought about your nutritional strategy for this race then, like knowing that you're not going to have the ideal amount of calories you normally consume?
This is a tough part for me because I'm massively into strength training. I'm a bit of a bigger lad. I'm probably at the moment around 92 kilos, which is quite, I think I have to lose probably, I think my optimal running weight is probably around 82, 83 kilos. So I've probably got to lose about 10 kilos nutrition wise. And I think what I'm going to do is drop it slowly over the year. So I've got plenty of time. But then nutrition strategy, I had my first run, long run the other day. I say long run, it's 3 hours. So it's not as long as some of the runs that I've kind of programmed in for February, which are about 8 hours. So I'm kind of building it up nice and slow. Well, I say slow, it's quite quick, but it's slow when you think about it. So I tried a little bit of a nutrition strategy, but I'm a long way away from getting it right, I can tell you that. I was trying to eat on the move while I was running. It didn't really work. I think I've actually got to slow it down because I'm used to trying to run at fast paces. I need to slow it down and actually start walking and enjoy and savor it. Like if I've got a banana, stop and just eat the banana, not just try and run it, eat it on the move, because them few seconds, them 30 seconds are not going to hurt me in the long run. So I need to start thinking about that sort of thing because I'm used to trying to just run, like don't think about that. And I know a lot of people have said kind of you need to have those walks and those stops, and it's all about kind of figuring out where you need to do it. But nutrition strategy is not there yet. I'll put my hands up, but I'm working on it. I need to stay away from the minute I'm going for the easy options like the gels and things, but I've been reading up a lot, and that's the wrong way to go because they're heavy apparently. So I need to try and keep the weight down. So dehydrated stuff, dehydrated fruit, things like that. I'm going to be trialing those over the next probably 8 to 12 weeks and hopefully get it bang on. If I can't, and I'm going to be asking one of you guys to give me a steer, which I'll probably be asking you anyway over the Christmas period when it gets a bit longer, to give me a better steer in the way of the nutrition. But like you say, everyone's different, but it's good to have a bit of a steer.
Definitely. I the other day I was speaking to a friend who does long distance bikepacking races, and we were talking about how like to win a race like that, it's not just to be the best rider. There's a lot of logistical concerns. And so same thing with the Grand to Grand, like you may not be the fastest runner out there, but if you're able to reduce your pack weight and recover properly every day and pace yourself appropriately, then you can actually win a race like this. Because even though maybe your 50K time is slower than whoever you're competing against that day, like they may not have their kit dialed down. They may not be able to do that same pace for the next day and the next day. So like what you're saying of taking your time and maybe walking a little bit or just make sure you're in that like zone 2 pace, like seems very appropriate for a stage race like this.
Yeah, and like you said, it's when you look, the more you look into it, the more I look into it, it's very technical. So like you say, you're carrying your food, you're carrying your sleeping system, you're carrying your warm kit. Like what do you take? Even if your warm kit, like your jacket is too big, that could take up a lot of space. So you've got to even think of where you're going to put your kit. So are you going to put your food at the bottom? Are you going to put you've got to make sure that you know where everything is so you can easily access it. So you need to make sure that everything's labelled up, day 1, day 2, day 3. And then is it going to have your warm kit above your food because you know you're going to put your warm kit on before you eat, not when you get back into camp, little things like that, and making sure I've got those little things dialed down and when I need them for the actual day. But I think, yeah, it's very, very technical. For anyone that doesn't even know about, obviously, the Grand to Grand, you do carry your food, your sleeping system, and you also kind of carry your kit, anything that you need to carry because no one's there to give you it. The only thing that you do get help with at the stage is water, isn't it? That's the only thing that you get, and a little bit of an aid if you've got an injury or something or something that's coming on.
Yeah, exactly. You get water, and then there'll be a medic there at each checkpoint, and yeah, they might clean up your blisters and stuff, but for the most part, you're pretty self-sufficient while you're out there.
And that's another thing that I really, really like as well, because I love being outdoors. I spoke about previously. It reminds me of a lot of outdoors. Reminds me of time with my granddad, where we used to go out kind of early mornings, and we used to be outdoors, whether that be shooting, fishing, sports, anything like that. So I'm really looking forward to this style of training because from what I've seen already I'm only on week 3 of training, and we've got a long way to go. Like this week already, it's Friday now, and I've already put in on week 3, 40 miles. So it's a lot of like kind of mileage to be outside, but I'm absolutely loving it because it's like making me kind of appreciate how good it is to be outside again. Because like I said to you about my strength training, don't get me wrong, I love strength training, and I'll still be adding at least 2 strength sessions in per week on this program. But kind of getting out of that kind of environment where it's just you're in a building, it's kind of like you've got your heating on. You're in like a real like safe environment, and to running 13 miles or 20 miles that way, and having to run 20 miles back this way, it's a little bit of a less safer environment, and you can go and see and run on different terrain if you like, and kind of like test your body, which is great. I love it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like going to the gym is fun, and it's definitely enjoyable to. I guess for me personally, I like to see like the numbers change. Like, okay, I'm getting stronger here, or weaker here. But then going outside is so different. It feels very like natural and primal. And so you're out there doing something that is hard and maybe you're suffering and uncomfortable a little bit, but it's also very enjoyable. And I think it kind of awakens something that we've lost in modern day society, where we're just always glued to our phones and computers. And once we go out and we're just kind of disconnected, it's like your brain just kind of lights up.
Which is another thing which really I love about the G2G is kind of that disconnect. So with me being in the military, a lot of it is done via phone now. So you've got all these WhatsApp groups. You probably got loads yourself. There's probably 10 WhatsApp groups in the military. And then I've got my business that I run from laptop and phone. So just getting away from that, even for a short period, I know that it's great for your mental kind of side of yourself as well. You know, have that digital detox. And that's something that really kind of, I'm really looking forward to, you know. 'Cause it looks at some of the pictures of the desert in the evenings, especially. It looks phenomenal. So I'm really looking forward to kind of like just sitting there, no phone, no work, and just relaxing and enjoying that part of it, and making sure that I do actually kind of enjoy that rather than using a device.
Definitely. And like, it's pretty incredible to be in some of these locations where like just the scenery is very stunning, but then you're out there with people that are doing the same hard thing as you. And it's just quiet. You can hear the coyotes, you can hear the birds, you can hear the crickets. And there's just so much you get to take in and just live in the moment versus thinking about like, oh, I got these work emails, or I'm going to be on Instagram or whatever, just like doom scrolling. Like, you can just literally live in the moment with your friends and just enjoy being a human.
And like we said earlier, like the challenge for me is going to be the biggest thing, and it's something to aim for. And I think that's a big thing for anyone in anyone's life. If you haven't got something to aim for, whether that be a relationship goal, whether that be a business goal, whether that be a fitness goal, or anything in between, everybody needs a goal. Everyone needs something to aim for. And whether people hit that goal is another thing, but it's kind of like you probably realize sometimes the journey getting there is sometimes the best thing. You know, I mean, some of the things I've trained for in the past, like I've got a world record in the past for running with weight, so rucking. And when I was training for it and doing that thing, I think it might be broken now, by the way. So when I did break it, it was a Guinness World Record. And when I did break it, when I was training for it, it was more enjoyable than actually breaking it, you know, because I had that kind of, I need to train hard, I need to go for this. So sometimes that process is more enjoyable than actually the end goal.
I would agree with that. Like I personally really enjoy training. I think it's really fun to have that set schedule and in the routine to like go out, okay, I'm going to run today, I'm going to ride today, or lift or whatever. And to be honest, and this may sound kind of weird, but like as I'm tapering for a race or an event and I start running less, I don't enjoy that part. Like a lot of people do because they get to take a break from whatever they're doing. But for me personally, I'm like, I want to go run. I want to go lift. I want to go do things.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's it. You want to just continue on the trajectory you're going, don't you? You know, well, I'm doing really well. Just let me continue. Which is what I think this is going to set a new kind of fire inside me, because being in the military, I've had, don't get me wrong, I've had good time to train. I've been a physical training instructor and stuff. So I've always had kind of time to get into the gym and do running. But having this sort of time now where I can kind of train for things like this, I think this is really going to like spark something off and make me do a lot more of this. Like just so you know, I've kind of booked in for at least a marathon or an ultra race every month now up until September next year. So I'm going to be going out, and I wouldn't say I'm competing, but I'm going to go in there and do my long runs like in a competitive environment just to give me that kind of buzz. And that's something that I've done, like we talked about earlier, those mini goals. I'm going to set myself. I mean, you know what you like. I'll probably go best effort when I get out there and start racing people. But my goal is just to set these little races, go in these little races, and just stay competitive, get in the environment, and just build myself up for going over to the US and the G2G next year.
Yeah, that's a very good tip. I think a lot of people can take away from like what you just said is that like we talked about earlier about having these baby goals, like little goals, like, okay, like sign up for a few 50Ks or so and like maybe test your pack, test your nutrition, and test all these things and get it dialed before you're out in the desert. Because once you're out in Utah or in Arizona, you're stuck. You can't change your kit. You can't go buy more food or change your food or maybe get different shoes or something. Like what you bring is what you have for the entire week. And if you packed poorly, well, you're kind of screwed.
That's what I mean. And this is one thing that I hopefully get bang on because I teach this. But like you say, there's a lot of practice involved, especially over this sort of distance, because you can't just come in at night and go back in and be like, oh, I'm going to jump in the bath and get me Theragun out and start massaging my legs. And then just put your little balms on that you can put all over your body and have your tablets that you've got at home, like your cod liver oils or whatever. All of that is extra weight. So you're just really going to want to do it on the most minimal kind of kit list as you can do. like you say, you're probably going to just have your safety stuff, then you're going to have your food, sleeping system, and a bit of warm kit, and then see you later. Enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have all these creature comforts out in the desert like you do at home.
That's one thing that I was thinking about. Yesterday I did my long run. I got in. I had a bath, and then I got my massage gun out, and then I put some CBD oil on my knees. And I had some nice porridge, and I had a protein shake. And all these things, I was like, this is like not what it's about. Like maybe I can enjoy it for now because I'm just trying to get into the swing of it. But on the back end of next year, I'll probably say around February, March, that sort of time is when I'll have to just do what I'm going to try and actually replicate as much as possible as what I'm going to be doing on race week.
Definitely. Like that specificity, I think, is very important for something like this. Like trying to replicate the terrain as much as you can, replicate the kit as much as you can, even like the mental fortitude to a certain extent. But I guess thinking of like the mental thing, like why do you think it's important to do hard things that don't have a guaranteed outcome? Like I think a lot personally in society, we've been kind of conditioned to just do things where we know like, oh, if I sign up for this, I will finish and I will get some sort of medal. Whereas like grand to grand, like there's a high possibility you may not finish, and it's hard.
Yeah, well, I think for me personally, it's having that kind of that thought of maybe you won't finish it. It's like being put out your comfort zone, and I've every single time, whether that be a demanding course in the army or something like that, like for example, P Company, where you go and become an airborne soldier. That's one of the hardest courses in the British Army to do, and I passed that course first time. And when I went on to that was the same again. You just filled with doubt. How am I going to pass it? You've got all your peers around you. Everyone's competing for a place. You've got to put in 100%. Your nerves is probably one of the biggest things because nerves kill your energy. So you need to try. There's no way to really train for it because it's different every time. There's tests to train for, but the actual day or the conditions could be hot, could be cold, whatever time of year you go. You can't really train for that. So I think for me, it's being put out of your comfort zone is where you grow. That's kind of where I've always found that I've grown is going out of my comfort zone, whether that be something physically or even in life as well. Like when it came to business, set up my own business, that was kind of like, is it going to work or is it going to fail? You've got two choices, but if you never try, then you're never going to know. And this is one thing that I'm not going to fail. I'm going to finish this race. I'm going to finish it in a great time, just so you know. But if I don't, if something happens, then I will be back. And that's kind of the mind frame that I've got, that if I don't complete something, touch wood, I've completed everything that I've ever done, whether that be crawling on hands and knees or finishing strong, I will finish it. But if I don't, then I've got that mind frame to come back and attack it again with better training or a recovered body.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like you say that, and like it's a very positive thing. And it's interesting how in society, like people are pretty. And this is me just kind of like, I don't know, talking, I guess, off the cuff. But it seems like a lot of people are afraid to fail, and it's simply because of like some sort of shame or embarrassment of like, oh, I signed up for something hard and I didn't do it. But like your outlook on it is completely different, where instead of just thinking of it as a shameful thing, it's like, okay, this is what I did wrong, and how can I improve for the next time because I'm going to do this.
Yeah, and some things happen. There's variables. Like you could go out onto, just for an example, you could go onto the G2G, you could get bitten by something, and then you could be like ill. So then you think, well, am I a failure because I was bitten by an animal, or because you got, I don't know, if you're got severely dehydrated through no fault of your own, really. Like I don't know, maybe your hat wasn't down your back enough, and you got sunburn, and it got severe. There's loads of little things. I mean, you can kind of minimize those things going wrong, but in the end anything can go wrong. There's lots of variables in this world, so I think the takeaway point is for everyone, if you're thinking about doing something, is just to go and do it. I think that's the hardest part of, we spoke about earlier, it's cold in the UK at the moment. Probably half the people in the UK are thinking, I'm not running, I'm not going to put my trainers on and going out there when it's minus 2, minus 3. I'm going to go into the gym and I'm going to be in a safe environment. That's the best time to go out there and get cold, and you soon warm up when you're running. So just kind of like the takeaway point is just to make sure you put yourself in that environment where you're pushing yourself, whether you fail or you do well.
Definitely. And like, thinking about the cold, I think right now in Kanab, where the race is based out of, they're getting some snow. So even though it's
Are
hot in
they?
the summer and in the fall, they get some snow in the winter as well.
Well, that's why I need to race now because I prefer the cold. So this is one thing that I'm a little bit worried about because it's cold now in the UK. Um, and I'm doing a lot of my training now. It's kind of like it's not warm, and a lot of my training over there, it's going to be hot. It's going to be different. I mean, it'll be hot next summer, so I can train in that environment. But at the minute, I feel great, and I'm like, yeah, I love this. This is great because I love the cold. But when it comes to like June next year, perhaps I'll be thinking this is actually going to be a lot harder than I thought. Just because I love training in the cold weather.
Yeah, are you going to do some specific heat training, like a sauna or anything, or just doing runs outside?
Funnily enough, but the gym that I actually train at in central London has just got a sauna, so I'll definitely be doing some stuff in that. I'll be sitting in that for as long as I can. And what I'm thinking about flying out to a couple of countries as well and doing some training in some hot countries. I'm looking at flying out to Kenya at the start of next year to do a bit of training out there, just a week, just to try and throw myself out, but not even kind of acclimatise a little bit, but kind of throw myself in the deep end and go from cold to hot and then come back to cold and just see how I react. Just another thing just to try, just for my body and see how kind of I go on. But I think I need to get some kind of heat training in because that's the only thing really worrying me because I don't like running in the heat. About 4 years ago, I ran in the London Marathon and it was the hottest London Marathon there was. And I struggled because, I didn't really run as much as what I am now, but the heat really got to me. And I think that's kind of a thing in the back of my mind. I need to be able to handle that heat and just continue because heat's horrible, isn't it? You know as well as I do. If you get hot and you get bothered, and your heart rate rises straight away. So if you're training at the zone 2 in the winter, that's probably not zone 2 in the summer. That's kind of where you need. Well, what I'm thinking about in my brain, I'm thinking if I'm keeping my heart rate between like 130 and 150 and what have you. Kind of if I kind of peak a little bit going up a hill and go to 180, it might take a long time for that heart rate to come down.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good takeaway from the show as well, that like all these variables can impact your heart rate and your pace. So just because you can go out and run a marathon, say, just for argument's sake, in 4 hours, doesn't mean that with a 15-kilo pack, or however many kilos it is, you're going to run that same 4-hour marathon, especially when you have to do that again the next day. So there's a lot of variables that are going to affect your heart rate and your performance, and that needs to be taken into account when you do something like this.
This is one thing. So I ran the marathon 2 years ago, actually, with 75 pounds. So that was difficult because it was on. I didn't find it very difficult cardio. My cardiovascular system was fine. I found it difficult on my feet because I was wearing military boots and it was on concrete. And it was like I think it ended up being 29 miles. Because you run around people. So it was 29 miles carrying 74 pounds, so like 35 kg or whatever it is. And I found that difficult more on my feet because of the boots. But yeah, so I think with carrying weight, I think that's going to be a strong point for me. And hopefully that kind of what sets me apart slightly from some of the other athletes. Not that it's a competitive thing, but it is. I want to go there and do well. I think carrying kit, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, that'll definitely be an advantage for you, especially coming from us skinny runner guys that aren't used to carrying a lot of weight when we're out there. You're going to have an advantage in that aspect, so that would be fun to watch.
Well, this is kind of what I'm happy about being in the Facebook group with a lot of the other athletes. A lot of the other athletes may never have carried weight, and I think there's a few athletes from the UK this time. So if anyone's listening, they are in London and they want to kind of go for a ruck or go out with some kit on, then just let me know because I'll be more than happy to kind of show you how I'd pack my kit and give you some tips on kind of how to pack your kit. I haven't packed it how I'd pack for the race yet because I'm not sure what I want to take, but I know how to pack kit correctly and I know how to get your weight distribution correct and kind of how to wear it. So that'd be a pleasure of mine to help anyone that needs that as well.
Yeah, maybe in a few months we can connect again and do another show and see how your training's doing, but then also talk about packing. And because I feel like you're saying, like you know a lot about it, and it'll be fun to teach some people how to properly pack a bag. Yeah,
I didn't mention at the start, but I also coach out of a gym in central London, and one of my sessions that I actually take is rucking. So it's just changed its name, so now it's called Man Up Rucking and Running Club. That's where I have packs here, and people can carry anything from just running, body weight, all the way up to carrying the last person. The heaviest weight carried was 25 kilos. And then we go and run a specific kind of hour. So we'll go out, we'll go easy, we'll do like 20 minutes easy to an area, and then we'll either do intervals or some kind of tempo run, and then we'll come back and run in 20 minutes. And people love that. People love that kind of military vibe. And I think that's great for people that have never carried weight before to feel how that feels, because rucking is a full body kind of experience. People just think, oh yeah, carry it on your back. But the amount of stability, you've got to have great core stability. You've got to make sure that it's around your shoulders correctly. The weight's at the top. You've got to make sure that it's not bouncing around everywhere on your back so that it's causing havoc. Because you probably know as well as I do, you've probably been out running and ran behind someone and their bag is literally like going from there to there to there. I did it this morning. I went out on a ruck this morning. I did a ruck on tired legs from a long run yesterday. And I was going slow, which sometimes annoys me when someone zooms past me. But kind of their bags were just literally, I wanted to say something, but I know it's not my place sometimes. But I just want to say, please just hotch your bag up and then just leave it there. Because a lot of people do carry kit incorrectly, which is what people may be doing on the G2G. You may have seen it before.
Yeah, I've seen that quite a bit, and I think those people, like, it's good on them for going, but they'd have a much better experience if they took a couple minutes and looked at their bag and their kit, like you're saying, and figured it out. Because when it swings like that for a week on end, like, you get massive chafing and blister issues, and it makes the whole week less enjoyable. And if you just took some time to go over that, you can enjoy the race a lot more and have a way better time. Well,
literally, like, a majority of the time, by the way, like, it's just two things. You just got to pull the two tassels here and just hotch them up, and that is it. That is like 90% of the problem, because people seem to have it halfway down their back because they don't want to pull that tight. I love it feeling tight on the shoulders. I think it's great. Yeah, sometimes you get a rub around your shoulders and it feels tight and restricts you, but you know where the weight is. You can feel it, and I think that's one of the biggest things. And I'll be pulling people up over there. Don't you worry. If I see a bag swinging, I'll be telling them, "Oi, tighten that up." And also, like, a lot of people that struggle with that, you can also get your weight bands, can't you? I don't know if people use those, but they're great additions to your kit if it doesn't come with kit, to put a waistband on, and also your chest strap. It's normally better for men. Obviously, with women, they obviously need a little bit of a longer one, but you can get them online, so they do help.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's wrap it up here, man. That was fun to talk and hear about your background and what you're doing to get ready for Grand to Grand this year. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you very much for having me, mate. And I'm looking forward to coming back on. Next time we'll talk about the kit and how to pack it and how to distribute that weight.
Definitely. And what's your Instagram and stuff so people can look you up?
Yeah, Instagram is Farren Morgan. That's FARREN Morgan.
It's pretty simple and straightforward. I like it.
That's it. No numbers, nothing else in it, just my name.
I love it. Well, thanks again, Farren. Appreciate it. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Derek. See you later, mate.